Hello there, everyone. Rick Mitchell with you. Welcome to My Weather Obsession. It is Thursday, February 17th. We have severe weather that will be taking place across the Tennessee Valley. For those of you watching in Texas, that's where I'm based. No severe weather in Texas, but I thought it might be interesting to see why they're going to get severe weather to the east. This is a video that is basically intended for those folks who want to learn a little bit more about what goes in to creating a forecast. All right, a little deeper dive than what they might get with just the local forecast. So if you've been watching some of my videos, the first thing I like to do is go to the Storm Prediction Center page and just kind of get an update on what is happening with the severe weather risk. Today we have this enhanced risk that is to the east of the Texas area. This is going to include places like Nashville, Jackson, Memphis. Surrounding that is a slight risk in yellow and then a marginal risk in green. What is the tornado threat? Let's look at that. That's going to be a hatched area. That means it's 10%. All right. What does the hatched area mean? Right down here, you can read hatched area, 10% or greater probability of an EF2 to EF5 tornado within 25 miles of a point. All right. Okay. Yeah, but the general feeling is that when you start seeing these hatched areas or even probabilities up around 10%, that's pretty good. Okay, that's attention grabbing, and folks should be on the lookout and be prepared for severe weather in these areas. Even a 5% is worth noting, and then in the green area, 2%. That's the lowest area that they have. I don't want to diminish it, but it's low. It's a low threat where you get up to 10%. That's pretty high. Wind potential, that's 30% in the red. So portions of Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, and the hail potential is not as great. This looks like mostly a wind producing event. So let's start with our observations, surface observations. And let me throw on here temperature and dew point. So what we have is an area of low pressure that is just east of Little Rock, Arkansas, as I record this at almost 11 in the morning. Out ahead of it, by the greens, you can tell there is a surge of higher dew point air into the 50s, 60s, and even a few 70s out ahead of this front. Can you tell there's a cold front in here? Well, no. Okay, we'll get to that some other time, but there's definitely a cold front moving into this unstable atmosphere. A closer look at the surface weather pattern. And for those of you not familiar with this, what this shows, these are surface weather observations. For example, this one shows a temperature of 67. That's the top number. The dew point is 56. There's a south wind at 10 knots. Each one of these barbs represents 10. Here's one that's 10, 20, and the little ones are 5. This is 76 over 63, dew point of 63. So we've got 50s, 60 dew points, even look at this, a 73. So there's good moisture in here. Temperatures aren't terribly warm, all right? It's not like it's May or anything like that. And then of course on the backside of this, you've got much lower temperatures. Let's look at Tulsa. Their temperature is 33. The dew point is 30. They have a northwest wind at 10, 20, 25 knots, gusting. You see that G33 gusting to 33. So all of these northwesterly winds represent the cold front, and the southerly winds represent the warm sector. How about upstairs? What's going on? 500 millibar chart this morning. 500 millibars is about halfway up through the atmosphere. This is about 18,000 feet. The pressure at the ground on average is 1,000 millibars. We are up to 500 millibars. The higher you go, the lower the pressure becomes. And so we're looking at 18,000 feet up into the air. And the air movement generally follows these contours. So you've got a trough of low pressure out over the southwest. It's actually a double-barreled piece of energy. You got one traveling through the Texas Panhandle. You got another one back here in portions of Arizona and New Mexico. This whole thing is going to lift and progress to the east. That will enhance the wind speeds in the upper levels over our area that has the greatest potential for severe weather. Let's look at the soundings from this morning. Let's start with DFW. Okay, by this point, this was 6 in the morning. The front had pretty much come through, And so we have very little CAPE. We have very little wind shear to speak of. It's not looking good in terms of severe weather. And it shouldn't, because all the conditions are farther east. Here's Shreveport. Shreveport has higher CAPE, so it has some higher energy in the atmosphere. This is ahead of the front. And again, remember, this is like 6 in the morning. Let's go out to Little Rock. And Little Rock has decent shear, wind shear. Notice how the winds are increasing with height. And it's got a fair amount of CAPE showing up on this sounding. CAPE is the fuel. I will do a whole video on CAPE. Just think of it as the gasoline for the severe weather. It's the ability for a parcel to rise through the atmosphere. How easily can that air parcel rise? And in this case, it can rise fairly easily. So it's got some high CAPE. Let's go out to Jackson, Mississippi. Not so much CAPE. Doesn't look good. Well, that's because the CAPE values are going to be low with this event. They will come up a little bit. What's more impressive in Jackson is the wind shear. All right, you've got good directional shear. Starts out as a southeast wind, becomes more of a southwest wind, and the speeds increase. It is going to be a situation where this event is more dominated by wind shear, some instability, but certainly the wind shear is forecast to be much stronger than the instability. And so CAPE values won't be super high, but the wind chill value is going to be pretty good, pretty moderate. This is the NAM Nest. This is a 3-kilometer high resolution model. We will go through time. This is, let's go out to lunchtime. There it is. We see our line of thunderstorms. This is Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Notice it's very messy. Numerous showers and thunderstorms. This makes forecasting in the southeast very difficult, because any of these could end up being severe. And then you've got the main line with the cold front making its way through the area as a squall line. And this will likely be a high-end, well, not high-end, but a high wind producer, and the potential for tornadoes. Now, let's look at a forecast sounding from, what time is this? This is at 4 in the afternoon, 3 in the afternoon, 3 in the afternoon. This is right around Jackson, Mississippi. The CAPE has improved a little bit. Now we're up close to 1,000, which is pretty decent for February standards. What's really impressive is the shear. All of these shear numbers are above 50, and that's pretty impressive. You've got a large kind of looping hodograph. And again, I can spend a whole bunch of time talking about these soundings and how to read them. But what this is telling me is that the atmosphere's got some good spin in it and some very strong winds. So that is why this area is under a enhanced risk. It has the ingredients. It has the wind shear that's going to be moving into the area. The upper level system, although the upper level feature, that trough, is going to be weakening and shearing out as it approaches the area, it's still going to overspread the area with strong wind speeds. That on top of good wind shear, directional shear, decent instability, not great, but decent. CAPE values 1,000, maybe in some areas a little bit higher than that. That will all manifest itself into the development of thunderstorms, and some of those will have the potential for strong winds and tornadoes. So something to kind of keep an eye on. Those are the things I'm looking at. I'll continue to make these videos kind of explaining for the weather geeks out there that maybe aren't meteorologists but would like to know a little bit more. If you like it, share it, or like the page. Hopefully I will continue to improve my presentation, try to make it a little more interesting. I'm learning as I go, all right? Okay, that's it for now. Talk to you later.